And I get a lot of people always asking, because I don't have all the answers, but I can really try to help other people and direct them or maybe guide them. I can't do the work for you, but the best advocator is yourself, is what I always believe, because I've always advocated for myself, because you can't get to places unless you advocate. And the NFB is definitely they do advocate for the blind, for the rights of the blind. So when we're not getting the things that we need, such as accessible checkouts at stores, or college, where college students aren't getting their books. There's things that blind people need technology in order to do things with screen readers and with the JAWS program. So there's a lot there's parents of blind children, there's blind parents, there's a seniors division, there's just all types of stuff. They have a students division. So anywhere you are in your life, you can find something and grasp to it. Now, being in an organization is not for everybody, but if you have another outlet that you like to use, just like I met Aaron this evening through WhatsApp. So here I am talking to you guys, sharing out the information. And a lot of us have different stories. And, even what came out of all that stuff is like, I ended up marrying somebody that I love, and, buying a new home, buying a, vehicle, getting a new pet. And I'm lined up to get a guide dog hopefully soon. And, things work out for you if you really put your foot forward. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be, just given to you like that. You'll be tested. Every day I'm tested. And if you don't know something, then ask. There's nothing wrong with asking or being embarrassed about. I always feel like, there's never, a wrong question or anything like that, because we all need to know what, we can do to help each other, especially within the blind community, because a lot of our families don't understand. I'm sure a lot of us have a lot of funny stories we could tell. I sure do, but people who don't understand blindness. So that's one thing I really try to educate people on. They're really big on teaching Braille to children, and I think they should also concentrate on people who are older in age and then they go blind. So unfortunately, seniors, sometimes they're old school and they don't want to be taught technology, and it's too hard for them. But you take them for where they're coming from, and you just take those people for where they're at and not try to push them, but just let them know that they can do these things. And I run across so many people that tell their stories to me too, and I try to. The biggest thing is to be a good listening ear. And just listen. Sometimes people just need you to listen to them, and they don't need an answer. They don't need somebody to tell them to do this or do that. I always feel like I can give you the ideas or, help you along the way, as other people had done when I first went blind. So every day is always, just a learning experience for me, as I'm always learning from all of you. And I really, I continue on. I mean, I don't know, I'm in my mid 50s now, and, I'm sort of kind of not far away from retirement, but I have plans to, keeping involved with the organization and helping out anywhere I can. The National Federation of the Blind also has an annual convention every year, and we just had one this past year. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we were supposed to go to Houston, and we ended up going virtually, and they ended up over with 10,000 blind people across the country and the world. So it was different. A lot of people were new to the Zoom platform. A lot of people were trying to get used to all the new technology and things like that. But as blind people, we're capable of so much. and the low expectations of people. That's where we have to come in and educate people to let them know, yes, we can do those things. So there's different approaches that you can go on that. I really try to be patient. I'm sure a lot of you get some crazy, crazy, wild questions, as I do. So I just try to, sometimes I have to laugh under my breath and just sort of like, well, that's maybe a good question, but maybe have you thought of just how would you do it? So when I didn't, to me, there's no wrong, there's no right. Well, in some things there are, but in most ways, like if I do something in one way, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it a way. We all have different skills. We all have different things that we enjoy doing. And that's the most important thing. You don't have to keep up with everybody in the blind, who's blind, or they do this, or they're great at orientation and mobility. But if you come to really listen to everybody, we all run into sort of like the same problems and issues and questions and concerns, especially during this COVID virus. Well, how do we keep distance? How do we go shopping now? How do we, do all these different things? And then this is where we have to be creative within the NFB. Is we look at ways of being able to get around these things and to work around them, just like anybody else in the world. All of us in the world have to do it, either sighted or blind. So I'm sharing my perspective as being sighted and blind. So I've had both. I ask questions of people who have been blind all their life, because one of my curiosities, well, how do you determine colors? How do you determine what certain things look like? Because I can, for me being sighted, I can picture these things in my mind because they're captured there. But when we in the community too, when you're considered legally blind, we want people to say that you're blind, because we have a visual impairment. I've heard of low vision or high partials. You hear different terms, but really, if you think about it, we're blind. We do have some type of seeing disability but we find those ways to overcome that and not let that define us as that, because it definitely it never defined me as a person, because I have many different characteristics of who I am. So I'm Asian, so I'm also gay, I'm also blind. So many of us are different, brown skin. We all come from very different backgrounds. And that's what I love about the Federation, is because they're diverse, they're open to people, and they're really, really getting there as far as diversity and inclusion, not saying one is better than the other, that we're all in this together. The National Federation of the Blind has really impressed me in the last 3 or 4 years, because their attitudes have changed and people learn and we continue to grow. Any organizations, I've been in, many types of different organizations, and you do run into politics sometimes, which is unfortunate. And I've run into that as well. But, if you put aside all that and really see what is really good as a whole picture and what we're trying to do, always to strive to be better and to have equal access to things in our life that are going to make our life easier, or to help us to live the lives we want. I really appreciate the opportunity to have this platform to come out and speak to everybody on this podcast, because I always enjoy listening to other people, especially, I heard people who are newly blind that have reached out to me through a lot of social media. I've met a lot of great people. I have good rapport, and just people from all just different backgrounds and lives and where we're coming from. And, please just don't shame each other. I see that sometimes. And, it's bad enough that we're all going through what we're going through, but we, just help, just think of us like brothers and sisters and trying to help each other and doing the right thing and things like that. So I continue, like I said, in our community and doing a lot of outreach still and trying to bring people into the Federation and letting them know what we do. And I know some people, aren't ready, and some people are ready. We will put you to work if you come into the Federation, that's for sure, because we want you to be involved. We want you to be a part of the Federation family, because that's the way I look at it. All families are not perfect. We argue, we cry, we scream at each other at times, but when at the end of the day, we are together as one, as a family. So I really believe in that aspects. I had a loving mother who accepted me, always told me that she was proud of me, and you have people in your lives who can help mentor you and just be there for you to help you, step along the way in your life and what you want to do and things like that. It's definitely not, everything's not easy. You have to do the work. You have to put the work into it. I know sometimes we expect things to happen and maybe they don't happen in the way we think it should happen. And that's okay, because, the road to our journey is not a straight path. It takes many twists. It takes many turns. It takes many, it's almost like being on a roller coaster. You just never know. You're going to go up the hill, you're going to go down the hill, around the curve, and all tips, upside down. And we just have to kind of, for me, it definitely is a balancing act, but I, for the most part, I'm a happy person. So I definitely always trying to look at the positive side, but also realize there are things in the world that are going on that we can't control or not in our control, and we have to accept what's going on. But so that's basically a little bit of my story to share with you guys. And I can also, I'm always here. I'm on Facebook, Chris Walker. If you look me up, you'll find me, Winchester, Virginia. Request me as a friend or send me a message. I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody and things like that. And I think that's about it. That's about it for now, Aaron, unless you wanted to ask me any questions.
I certainly would. You're doing a great job. Absolutely magnificent as always, of course. So, I mean, you don't really know. I mean, the listeners at home, the listeners at home would be, more familiar with my story. They've maybe been following me for a year, but this is I'm guessing this is the first time you've heard of Aaron's opinion, right? Like right now, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. I will certainly add you to our WhatsApp group that I have for guests of my show and some managers, some people who I know who've helped me. But basically, my story is that as I was telling you before over WhatsApp, I'm not going to sit here on my own show and tell you that I understand what it's like to become blind as an adult, because I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I was born blind. And I think that it's important to remember, and listener, I've mentioned this to you as the audience many times, that I think that there is one of the many interesting issues in the blindness community today is that there's a lot of strife and rift and conflict. That's not what it is, but there's a lot of different emotions as it relates to the issue of people who were born blind and who are born blind their whole life, and people who became blind later. We are coming up for the radio station. We're coming up